Hi everyone, welcome to another Broken Meeple Blitz review, and I've had this one on the cards for a while, but because of lockdown and when I got this February, March, we were still unable to see a lot of people, it was difficult to get this one to the table, and that is The Court of Miracles from Lucky Duck Games. This is not the newest title that they've released, but I was offered it alongside Destinies and some other games from them, and I thought I would give it a try once lockdown started easing, and now I'm happy to say that I've managed to give this one the beans, and I can give my general review on it. The Court of Miracles is a straight up area control game where you are playing various beggar guilds and you are trying to control various districts in the city of Paris in, I forget what time, whatever, the immersion is not exactly a major point with this one, but you essentially try to control the districts. You go on spaces by placing your tokens there, your various people in your arsenal, so like henchmen and beggars and brute force, like your strong arm men, that kind of thing. And by placing them in these districts, you will trigger bonuses like gaining money, gaining plot cards, moving a Penniless King around the board, which is kind of like a pseudo scoring, pseudo game timer mechanic. But you'll also try to get your renown tokens, which are basically little wooden pieces that you have, onto this board in order to end the game. First person to get 6 renown tokens on the board ends it and wins automatically, so it's essentially a race. But the crux of this game is mainly just the manipulation of the tokens that you're putting down, the back and forth control of all these districts, and utilizing the plot cards, as I mentioned, which is essentially a tarot deck of cards that have special abilities that you can play once on your turn. When I say that this game is straight up area control and nice and easy, I am not joking. This is super simple. One of the simplest area control games I've ever seen. I'm not joking, right? Here's the rulebook, and it may look like, oh my god, it's a big rulebook, but seriously, it's big, but so's the font and all the pictures on it. Back page is the abilities of some of the tokens, right? First page is a bunch of useless blurb about the Penniless King or whatever, which frankly you won't care about when you're trying to read it.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
And a setup diagram, okay? Nice and easy. The actual rules for the game is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. 4 pages worth of rules in big font with some picture examples of iconography and, you know, some basics of the map and that. That is it. This was so easy for me to learn. I don't even know why I bothered to get it out to try and do a walkthrough solo. It was kind of pointless doing it. I could have pretty much just brought the game to game night, read the book, and taught it there and then. It really is that simple. So, as with all area control games, this is going to have quite a lot of player interaction. You're going to get up in each other's faces. Each district only has 3 spots for you to go to, and as soon as it fills up, you have a standoff, which essentially means that you look at the numbers on the tokens you've put down, which are face down to begin with, so you don't necessarily know what a player might have put down on that spot. You compare the values, the highest wins the district, gets a bonus, gets to put one of the little wooden tokens on the board, and you know, it's so on and so forth. All the districts have got various different spaces with bonuses and different district bonuses, and if you are able to place your wooden token on this side of the board over here, I'm trying to get it over there, this side here, you've got different rows which cost different amount of gold. That's what the gold's useful for, and these can get you bonuses like moving the king more spaces, drawing plot cards, getting your strong arm token who's worth 2, it's like one of the higher values in the game, you know. But really, it is so simple. There is no confusing iconography at all. Everything is easy to see on this board, although I wish the board was a little bit on the easier side to fold. I mean, it's done in a kind of sort of thematic way, but you look at this weird shape for the board. It's kind of weird when it folds out, and you then have to ask, could this game have been packaged in a smaller box? Oh, most certainly yes. This insert is laughable. I mean, it's got 2 slots there. It's all just one Fantasy Flight trench style cardboard insert, and there's even a couple of dividers that you're supposed to put in these in order to separate out various components, except they don't even fit in them very well. So it's pointless using them. The only reason I keep the insert is because, I'm not joking, that all the components could fit in this bit here. That is where all the components are. There is nothing in there, nothing underneath this insert. Literally, the box is only this big to accommodate the rulebook and this board. Could the board have not been a little bit on the smaller, foldable side? Could we have not had a fold-up rulebook? I don't know. This is like Splendor levels of ridiculousness in terms of buying air in a box. You know, really, could we have not condensed it somehow? I don't know. Maybe had a multi-board setup, something. Just, it's going to take up a lot more storage space than it really needs to. But that's one of the few negatives I have with the game whatsoever. and the player scaling's not too great either. This game says it can go from 2 to 5 players. Honestly, I think the only reason they put 2 on the box was just to sell it to couples. I can't fathom any reason why you would play as 2 players. There's no special rules for 2 players, you just play the game as you would a 5-player game. Except you don't have any difference with how many spots are open on the board or anything, so with 2-player, you're kind of just doing whatever you feel like. The game frankly sucks at 2 players.
Wow! That was pretty brutal even by my standards.
No backsies.
3 players is not bad, but again, it's still fairly freeform. This is actually one of the few times now where I'm like, get it for 4 or 5 players. Really? I played this first time with 5 players, and I think it's brilliant at 5 players.
I don't think any of us expected him to say that.
You're really up in each other's faces. There's a lot of contention for the districts. There's plenty of people that are triggering plot card effects or getting in your way and moving the king. It really is a solid 5-player game. One of the best 5-player experiences I've had for area control. It doesn't feel like that there's one person, like say, with area control, sometimes you get that problem of with an odd number of players, there's an even number of players that are doing well and one is like really rubbish. It doesn't feel like that here. You can see clearly who is in the lead in terms of those wooden tokens. So people start gunning for the person that's in the lead or not helping them or getting in their way. So the ones that are further behind get a chance to catch up just by the meta of the game. The tokens that you use, you only start off with some basic ones, but then you're able to reach into a bag and pull out all these different ones with various abilities like gaining cards and money if you win or lose standoffs. Yeah, there are actually some tokens that want you to lose standoffs, so there's almost kind of like a low-key type. It's not a strategy to win, but occasionally you might be like, well, I don't really care if I win that district or not, but I could use some extra cards. Well, if I put this dude down here, then I can basically say, fair enough, that one's going to be won by somebody else, but I get a nice little bonus out of it. Sweet. And you only have 4 of these in your arsenal at any time, so when you grab one of these, you've got to put a starter one back. So you got that little choice in there, but because you've only got 3 or 4 tokens, it's not like you've got to AP over, oh, well, I don't know which token to use where. There's only so many spaces, and you're pretty clear as to what you need to do, so I find that the turns go very quickly. Very nice speedy game. It wraps up in, it says 40 minutes on the box. 40 minutes to 60 minutes, it's actually pretty accurate. This game does not take very long. My favourite bit though are these, the plot cards. Now, you can argue that they are a little bit on the powerful side, but then everybody has easy access to these things. Do not underestimate these though, these are very good. There's one for each of the major suits of the tarot set, so like the Empress, the Chariot, the Magician, Death, Hangman, if you've ever got a tarot set before. There's 2 of each, and they've all got various abilities like each player with more renown tokens in play must give you a coin. Take 3 coins from the reserve and another player of your choice gets 1. Choose a neighborhood you control. Take back your token and receive 5 coins. Most of these I've just read are coins, but there are some other ones. Here we go. Move one of your tokens in play to an uncontrolled neighborhood. Place a rogue token and perform the action of a neighborhood different from the one that you went in. You know, there's a lot of really cool effects on these, and you can do some great power plays with them. Though you are restricted to only playing 1 a turn, otherwise it would get a little bit bonkers. But yeah, having a hand of these, you know, on standby when it's hidden information as well, will make players start thinking, oh, I don't know, are they going to pull a fast one on me? But because you know there's 2 of every card in here, once you see 2 of them gone, you know that no one else is going to have that card until it gets shuffled back again. These are really neat though. It's a simple mechanic. The abilities are not, you know, problematic. I mean, it tells you, I think, how they work in the... I'm not sure if they tell you how they work in the book. They may do. I don't think they... Oh no, well, some of the slightly more fiddly ones do, 3 of them, but honestly, they're mostly pretty self-explanatory here. Yeah, nice and simple. Looks nice on the table. You know, the artwork's decent enough. As I mentioned, player scaling is not good. You know, definitely play this with more players. The immersion is kind of there. I mean, it's area control and you're up in each other's faces, but this whole blurb about, you know, being this time period in Paris and a beggar's guild, whatever, you don't really care when you're playing this game. It's not really about that. It's mainly just a race to get to that point. But the other negative I do have to mention is replay value. It's a little bit on the low side. Replay value here is limited. You've only got this small deck of plot cards, and you're going to see them all in the game. You're not going to suddenly have, you know, cards you've never seen before turn up in game 2. You'll see these all by the time game 1's finished. There's only so many of these new tokens that you can grab for different people, so you're going to see most of them in your first game, possibly all, no, not necessarily. And that's kind of it. There's no way to change the districts or any of the bonuses or any of the, you know, the board does not scale with players, as I said, so your replay value is very limited. But this is one of those games where that's not the biggest problem in the world just because of how simple it is. I mean, how much replay value do you think is in Love Letter, for crying out loud? You know, a micro game. But obviously this is a bit bigger than a micro game, but you're talking essentially a 30 to 60 minute, well, 30 is probably a bit low, 40 to 60 minute light game of area control, which is more about how the players interact and how the cards work with tokens rather than variety in gameplay. So as much as the replay value is a negative, if you're not going to play this like 10 times in the space of a week, then you should be fine. But this is one that I would want to have in my bag every now and again as a 5-player game. So the Court of Miracles is a really solid area control game. Nice and light, nice and easy, like decent components. Granted, I wish the box was smaller, but that's a minor niggle. Yes, the replay value is not really there, but as long as you don't play this like 10 times in the space of a week, it will still be good to bring out. And it's not often you can find a game that works very well with 5 players and can still be played in about an hour. It's nice and quick, it does the job very nicely. And I fear that this one's going to get like pushed under the wayside, you know, and fall under the radar, because I've heard very few people talk about this whose stuff I watch, but I feel that more people need to know about it, you know, especially if you want an area control game that's simple for 4 or 5 players. Families could get into this. You know, children should be able to understand this one pretty easily. And as much as I wasn't the biggest fan of Destinies recently, which everybody is going on about, you know, games like this should also be considered, the ones that don't get a lot of mention, because sometimes you get what I would probably consider this to be a hidden gem of area control. So give this one a look if you get a chance. So that's it for me on this review. If you like what you see, please consider leaving a thumbs up like. It means a lot to me to know that people are appreciating the content. Also, don't forget that this channel is sponsored by Zatu.co.uk. Maybe this game or something else on my shelf is taking your fancy. Go to Zatu, see if it's in stock, and consider saving yourself 5% on your entire basket of games. Save yourself some money while enjoying games is always the way to go. And if you want to check out other content on the channel, I referenced Destinies earlier. You can check out my full detailed review of that. Failing that, I also mentioned the term hidden gems, which myself and Boardroom Gamer talked about a few weeks ago. Check out that video and find out what ours were. Take care, and remember, as always, it's only a game. Bye for now.